After Akiki left the palace, she went home and started crying. She loved Prince Maxwell so much and couldn't bear the thought of losing him to anyone. The pain in her heart was almost unbearable, and she felt as though her world was falling apart. Akiki thought about all the moments they shared, the dreams they had talked about, and the future she had hoped for with him. Now it seemed all those dreams were slipping away. The next day, Akiki was surprised to see Sabrina at her door. "You witch's daughter, boyfriend stealer, what are you doing here?" Akiki asked in shock and anger. Sabrina spoke coldly, demanding Akiki stay away from Prince Maxwell. Confused but brave, Akiki asked what would happen if she didn't listen. Sabrina's answer was sharp and scary. She threatened that Akiki would suffer like her dead parents. This made Akiki furious. She couldn't believe Sabrina would speak so cruelly about her parents. Akiki had turned to God, but Sabrina's threats made her feel like she might go back to her old self. With emotions high and the fight clear, Akiki told Sabrina to leave immediately, calling her a desperate fool. Sabrina left without saying another word. After Sabrina left, Akiki thought about how serious things had become. She knew standing up to Sabrina might bring more problems, but she was determined to fight for her love with Prince Maxwell and stand up to anyone who tried to ruin her happiness. Akiki rushed to her friend's house and poured out her heart. "I'm not giving up on Prince Maxwell," she insisted urgently. But her friend cautioned her, "You should stay away now. Sabrina is set to marry him." Akiki felt crushed. "But what about the man of God?" she asked with concern. "He's left with his family abroad. Who will help me fight my battle now?" With determination, Akiki declared, "I will face this alone if I have to. I will journey to the neighboring village and seek spiritual powers." Akiki's friend warned her to be careful now that the man of God was not around to help her, emphasizing that Sabrina posed a greater spiritual powers than Nai the goddess. Akiki gathered her courage and went to Prince Maxwell once more, determined to warn him about Sabrina's true nature and her malicious intentions. She wanted to expose Sabrina's deceit and protect the prince from any harm. However, upon reaching the palace, Akiki was shocked to find Sabrina waiting for her. Sabrina's demeanor was cold and commanding as she warned Akiki to stay away from the palace and Prince Maxwell. Her words cut through Akiki like a knife, leaving her feeling rejected once again. Despite her best intentions to save the prince from Sabrina's clutches, Akiki found herself powerless in the face of Sabrina's influence. Heartbroken and filled with disappointment, Akiki left the palace with looking sad. She knew that Sabrina's presence would make it nearly impossible for her to reach Prince Maxwell and reveal the truth. Nevertheless, a flicker of determination ignited within Akiki. She refused to give up on Prince Maxwell and their love, even in the face of Sabrina's threats and manipulation. Akiki vowed to find another way to expose Sabrina and ensure that the prince saw her for who she truly was. Akiki's determination led her to the neighboring village, seeking the guidance of a reputed man of God known for his spiritual prowess. She recounted the troubling events involving Sabrina and Prince Maxwell, hoping for divine intervention. As Akiki poured out her heart to the man of God, expecting solace and support, she was stunned by his response. The man of God withdrew himself from her troubles, refusing to engage in any spiritual battles. His words cut deep into Akiki's hopes, leaving her surprised and disappointed. "But you are a servant of God," Akiki protested. "I thought God called you to do his work." The man of God lowered his voice. "I am sorry, my daughter," he confessed. "I entered this path to support my families, not to confront powers beyond my abilities." Akiki couldn't hide her frustration. "You must be the weakest man of God I have ever seen," she declared. She had hoped for a champion of faith, someone who would stand with her against evil. But instead, she encountered a man who was weak in spirit. Akiki didn't give up after the fake pastor refused to help her. She went to see a native doctor in the neighboring village. She hoped he could help fight the bad spirits around Prince Maxwell. But the native doctor, filled with fear, refused to aid her. "I am too afraid of dealing with spiritual powers," he confessed, shaking his head. Feeling disappointed again, Akiki went back home. She was sad and worried about what to do next. Back in the palace, Prince Maxwell's mother began noticing something peculiar about Sabrina. One day she sat down with her son and expressed her concerns.
"My prince, I don't quite understand this girl you're thinking of marrying. Have you noticed she doesn't seem to have any friends or family visiting her?" Prince Maxwell thought about it and agreed with his mother. He decided to ask Sabrina directly. When he brought up the topic, Sabrina explained that she didn't like keeping friends because they had hurt her in the past. As for her family, she reassured Prince Maxwell, "My love, you'll meet them when you come to pay my bride price." As days passed, however, Prince Maxwell's mother couldn't shake off her unease. She observed Sabrina closely, noticing how she often seemed distant from others. She decided to keep a watchful eye on Sabrina. Despite Prince Maxwell's mother never liking Akiki, one afternoon she visited her. Akiki was surprised to see the Queen at her door. "Good day, Your Majesty. What brings you here?" Akiki asked politely. The Queen explained that she wanted to learn more about Sabrina. As Akiki shared what she knew, the Queen's expression turned grave. After gathering the information she needed, the Queen left Akiki's house. When the Queen got back home, she told Prince Maxwell everything Akiki had said about Sabrina. But he didn't believe her. He told his mother to stop saying bad things about Sabrina. He knew his mother didn't like Sabrina, but he didn't want her to lie about her either. Prince Maxwell's mother grew desperate as she watched the conflict between Akiki and Sabrina grow. She pleaded with her son to reconsider his decision, urging him to marry Akiki alone or even both women if that would bring peace. However, Maxwell, caught in a bind between his mother's wishes and his feelings for Sabrina, initially refused. Frustrated and feeling powerless, the Queen threatened drastic measures, even suggesting she would harm herself if Maxwell didn't comply. Reluctantly, Maxwell gave in to his mother's demands. In a solemn ceremony, he married both Akiki and Sabrina, hoping against hope that this solution would appease everyone. A month after the weddings, the palace was far from peaceful. Instead, tensions rose and arguments became commonplace. Akiki, feeling displaced and unaccepted, repeatedly confronted Sabrina, asserting that she didn't belong in the palace. Sabrina, in turn, defended her position as the rightful wife of Prince Maxwell, leading to heated exchanges that echoed through the halls. The palace, once a symbol of harmony and stability, now became a battleground, where Akiki and Sabrina's clashing personalities and ambitions played out daily. Maxwell, torn between his two wives and his loyalty to his mother, found himself unable to understand how he got himself in all of this. Soon Prince Maxwell began to see that Sabrina, his first wife, was the one causing all the trouble in the palace. His attention started shifting toward Akiki. Akiki was happy, finally feeling like she had the prince to herself. But Sabrina didn't like this change at all. One day Sabrina went to the river and performed some sacrifices. When she got home, Prince Maxwell immediately dropped everything he was doing. As soon as he saw her, he became even more madly in love with her than before. Akiki, who had been happy that the prince was finally seeing the truth, was heartbroken once again. Days turned into weeks, and Sabrina's hold on Prince Maxwell only grew stronger. Akiki tried to make him see reason, but her efforts were in vain. She watched helplessly as the prince, under Sabrina's spell, ignored her more and more. Akiki felt alone and desperate. She could see that Sabrina was using dark magic to control the prince, but she didn't know how to fight it. Her hope began to fade, and she started to wonder if she would ever win back the man she loved. Sabrina, on the other hand, grew more confident with each passing day. She relished her power over the prince and enjoyed seeing Akiki suffer. Prince Maxwell's mother, seeing her son under Sabrina's control, grew more worried. She knew something was terribly wrong, but didn't know how to help. She turned to Akiki, hoping that together they could find a way to break Sabrina's spell. Akiki, although heartbroken, agreed to join forces with the Queen. They decided to seek help from a wise old woman who lived in a distant village. The Queen believed that this woman, known for her knowledge of ancient magic and wisdom, could provide the answers they needed. When they arrived at the old woman's village, she welcomed them into her small, humble home. She listened carefully as Akiki and the Queen explained their plight. The old woman then gave them specific instructions. She handed Akiki a small charm and told her, "This will make the prince love you more than Sabrina, but be warned, its effect won't last long because of Sabrina's powerful spells." Prince Maxwell's mother shook her head.
"That's not what I want. I want Sabrina out of my son's life forever," she insisted. The old woman sighed deeply. "You must be careful," she warned. "Before she died, Nai the goddess gave all her powers to Sabrina. She is incredibly powerful now. If you try to use any charm on Sabrina to make her leave the palace, the prince will die." Akiki and the queen were shocked. They hadn't expected the situation to be so dangerous. "Is there nothing more you can do?" the queen asked desperately. "The only thing I can help with is making the prince like Akiki more," the old woman replied. "But remember, the love won't last for long due to Sabrina's strong charms." Though it wasn't what they hoped for, Akiki and the queen thanked the old woman and left, feeling both hopeful and anxious. They knew the road ahead was still fraught with difficulties, but they had to try. A few minutes after they left, Sabrina stormed into the old woman's house. Her eyes blazed with anger. "You wicked witch!" she screamed. "I thought I told you to stay away from this matter. I warned you not to answer Maxwell's mother when she came for help." The old woman stood her ground. "I have done what I believe is right." Before the old woman could say another word, Sabrina raised her hand and struck her with a force of dark magic. The old woman fell to the ground, lifeless. Sabrina looked down at her, satisfied. "This is what happens when you cross me." Back at the palace, Akiki and the queen arrived and immediately started working on their plan. Akiki wore the charm and hoped it would work as the old woman had said. That evening, Prince Maxwell seemed different. He was kinder and more attentive to Akiki. For a moment it felt like the old days, when he genuinely cared for her. But Sabrina soon noticed the change. She watched as Maxwell laughed with Akiki, and she became jealous. Later that night, Sabrina confronted Maxwell, casting another spell to strengthen her hold over him. The next morning, his affection towards Akiki disappeared once again. Akiki then told Prince Maxwell's mother that she wanted to go to another native doctor for help. But this time, the queen shouted at Akiki, "No, you women have to stop. I don't like the way you both are using dark magic on my son. I am tired of all this. I think it's time you all leave this palace for good. I will find my son another woman." Akiki was shocked by the queen's outburst. She had never seen her so angry. A day later, to Akiki's surprise, the queen, who once disliked Sabrina, was now so in love with her. The sudden change in the queen's attitude made Akiki suspicious. She wondered if Sabrina had used her magic on the queen too. While dealing with these troubles, Akiki discovered she was pregnant. She thought this news would bring Prince Maxwell back to her. She went to him, hoping he would be happy, but his reaction was cold. He didn't believe the child was his. "The child is not mine," he said flatly. Akiki's heart broke. She couldn't understand why Maxwell had changed so much. She knew Sabrina was behind all this, but she felt helpless. She had tried everything she could think of, and now she was carrying a child that Maxwell refused to accept. Despite Maxwell's rejection, Akiki decided to keep the baby. She believed that one day the truth would come out, and Maxwell would realize his mistake. But for now, she had to be strong for her child. Meanwhile, the queen's new fondness for Sabrina made life even harder for Akiki. The queen started to defend Sabrina in every situation, ignoring Akiki's pleas and complaints. Sabrina, enjoying her newfound power, made sure to keep Maxwell and the queen under her spell. Akiki felt more isolated than ever. She stayed in her room most of the time, thinking about her next move. Soon, Sabrina also became pregnant. But a few weeks later, she had a miscarriage. Sabrina blamed it on Akiki. Prince Maxwell, believing Sabrina, got very angry and chased Akiki out of the palace. Akiki tried to explain, but it was too late. Heartbroken, Akiki went back to her parents' house. Each night, she would cry until she got too tired to cry anymore. She felt lost and alone, thinking about how much her life had changed. Back in the palace, things got worse. Sabrina no longer allowed Prince Maxwell to attend the elders' meetings. Instead, she went to the meetings herself. The elders and villagers started to complain. "We have never seen this kind of thing before. This is an abomination," they said. The village was in chaos. People started gossiping about how Sabrina now controls the prince. They couldn't understand why Prince Maxwell, who was once a wise and strong leader, was now letting his wife take over his duties. Akiki sat in her room one day, feeling proud of herself. She imagined the day when she would take over the throne and rule the kingdom. She smiled, thinking about how powerful she would become. She was determined and said to herself that she hadn't even started yet. There was so much more she planned to do. Meanwhile, the queen was silent. She couldn't say anything against Sabrina because she was already under Sabrina's spell. Sabrina had used her powers to control the queen's mind, making her unable to speak out or resist. Akiki gave her life to Christ and started praying every day. She found comfort and strength in her faith, believing that God would guide her through her troubles. A few months later, she gave birth to twin boys. Her friend was overjoyed and celebrated the new arrivals with Akiki. When Prince Maxwell heard about the birth of the twins, he felt a pull in his heart. He wanted to see his sons, but Sabrina warned him not to go. She told him that if he visited Akiki, it would bring trouble. Prince Maxwell, still under Sabrina's influence, obeyed her and stayed away. Akiki, though happy with her new babies, felt a deep sadness, knowing that the prince was not there to see his sons. She continued to pray, hoping that one day Prince Maxwell would come to his senses and see the truth about Sabrina. When Sabrina found out that the prince now addressed Akiki's children as his own, she was furious. She couldn't bear the thought of losing her grip on him. Determined to regain control, Sabrina went to the river and cried out in frustration, asking the river goddess why she had not gotten pregnant. The river goddess appeared and told Sabrina that she had exchanged her unborn children for the power she now possessed. Sabrina was furious. "You foolish goddess, I don't need your power anymore. All I want is my prince and to give him children. I don't want Akiki to use the kids as a way to come close to the prince." The goddess's eyes flared with anger. She took back her powers from Sabrina and told her that she would never be able to get pregnant again. Sabrina left the river, feeling angry and disappointed. Back at the palace, Sabrina tried to hide her frustration. She knew that without her powers, she had lost a significant advantage. She also knew that Prince Maxwell would never have children with her. This realization made her more determined to keep him away from Akiki and the twins. The following day, Akiki was surprised to see the queen at her door. The queen smiled warmly and said she had come to see her grandchildren. She apologized to Akiki, admitting that she had been under Sabrina's spell and not in her right mind. She assured Akiki that everything would be okay soon. When the queen got home, Sabrina, unaware that her spell had expired, arrogantly commanded the queen to kneel and apologize for visiting Akiki and her children. The queen was so angry. "How dare you, daughter of a nobody, talk to me in that manner? Do you think you can manipulate us forever? No, my God is bigger than the gods you serve. You are leaving the palace soon." Sabrina's face turned white with shock and fear. She had never seen the queen so strong and determined. The queen's words repeated in her mind, making her realize she was losing control. Desperate to get her power back, Sabrina rushed to her room and tried to cast another spell, but nothing worked. She felt her power slipping away, replaced by a deep sense of dread. She knew she had to act quickly before she lost everything. Sabrina then traveled to a faraway village to meet a native doctor who provided her with charms. These charms were meant to harm the twins and manipulate Prince Maxwell and his mother. However, she was warned to be careful and ensure Prince Maxwell did not see her before using the charms. That night, Sabrina was deeply involved in a dark ritual in her room. She carefully arranged the charms given by the native doctor, quietly saying magic words. The room felt tense as she planned to harm Akiki's twins, and control Prince Maxwell and his mother more tightly. As Sabrina lit the last candle, casting strange shadows, a sudden noise shocked her. Prince Maxwell had returned early from his meeting with the elders. Surprised and caught in the act, Sabrina's eyes widened with fear. She immediately went mad and ran out of the palace. After Sabrina ran out of the palace, Prince Maxwell felt the spell over him fade away. He immediately realized his deep love for Akiki and feared she wouldn't accept him back after everything that he has done to her. Filled with regret and longing to make things right, he asked some village elders to go to Akiki's house and beg for forgiveness on his behalf. The elders hurried to Akiki's house, feeling sorry and regretful. They passed on Maxwell's heartfelt request and apologized sincerely for the trouble caused by Sabrina. Akiki was moved by Maxwell's genuine remorse and the elders' sincere apology. She decided to go back to the palace. When Akiki stepped into the palace again, Maxwell's heart leapt with joy. He held their twin boys close, tears of relief and happiness streaming down his cheeks. Dear viewers, if you enjoyed this story, please like, share and subscribe. Don't forget to turn on notifications for more inspiring tales. Stay blessed, and thank you for your support.